When you talk about GovCon, like I said earlier, you go on LinkedIn, you look at somebody with the title GovCon expert or GovCon resource. You're talking about lawyers. You're talking about DOL ERISA attorneys. You're talking about finance companies that only work in financing GovCons because they have a very specific niche. CPAs. We've got a couple people coming. Dutch Rojas. I
love Dutch.
He has nothing to do with GovCon, but his business plan is so malleable and right for everything that we're doing through TrueCare. But then you dovetail that the other way. Administrators, you have brokers, you have CFOs and CEOs from GovCons talking about their experience. What are they looking for in suppliers? HR folks saying, hey, this ERP, this payroll company, this type of technology, this type of benefit level, this is what got us from A to B to C, and now we're exiting at, F, right? So we're bringing the resources to help government contractors, their advisors, and their partners. So that's why we have a broker, a GovCon, and a supplier track to give everybody the right information. And it's completely agnostic of Axim. This was, if you want to be an advisor or supplier in this space, please come. This is 17 years of my connections and hard work, and all the great work the Axim team does. We're throwing it at you, and we want you to participate.
Welcome to the RockstarsRocking podcast, powered by Voluntary Disruption, a show dedicated to people who are crushing their business and life goals. These are bite-sized conversations with leading rock stars in their respective industry who are pumped to share their story to help drive you to the next level. So, are you ready to rock? Speaking of rock stars, here's your host, Eric Silverman.
Hey rock stars, welcome back to another episode of RockstarsRocking, where and I say it every single week, we only have the finest, the most exceptional, the most incredible. I could lay on all the superlatives till my heart desires, but I'm going to stop there out of sake of time for these rock stars, these studs, these industry pros. See, I can't stop. I just keep going. Everybody, welcome our good friends, my guest, Jim Campbell, CEO of the Axim Group of Companies and TrueCare, based out of the Las Vegas, Nevada area, and his partner in crime, Patrick Moore, president of Axim Global Strategies Group and vice president also at TrueCare. And Patrick himself is based out of the greater Chicagoland area. What's up, boys?
Happening, man. Thanks for having us.
It's cracking.
Oh man, I'm living the dream, especially doing much better now that I see your pretty Marine faces. Is it okay to say pretty and Marines in the same sentence? Is that weird, or is that okay?
Long time retired, man. You can say whatever you want now. You can tell the truth.
It's a given, Eric. It's a given.
Well, particularly when we're looking at Patrick, of course it's a given, that pretty smile. Look at that guy. He's just a stud. Jim, you're all right. But Patrick, come on.
I'm old.
You're old. That's all right. No worries. So look, guys, I want to start with that. I've told you, I've said it before to folks, but I'm a Marine in heart, but I'm certainly not a Marine. My whole family comes from a long list of military. True story. My brother joined the Marines only to piss off my dad. He was supposed to go into the Navy like most of my family. He said, nope, I'm calling an audible just to piss off Pops. And boy, did it piss off Pops. I'm curious your story, right? I don't know how often you've talked about it, and we're going to get to benefits. Don't worry, everybody listening. But I like history. I like stories. Talk to us, right? Patrick, let's start with you, man. Let's start with the pretty guy. Patrick, why the Marines? Why the military? Was it a family thing? Was you just woke up one day and wanted to shoot guns? You tell me.
It's kind of random, man. I have no family background in the military whatsoever. In fact, no one on either side of my family had ever done the military. So it was a completely new deal. But what happened was I had a friend who said, I think we should join the Marine Corps together. And friends don't let other friends do things separately, right? So you kind of do things in tandem. So I actually went to boot camp with a really good friend of mine. We went together. I probably let the recruiter chase me for about 6 months before I actually signed on the dotted line, because I was I was scared. But I joined literally August 17th of 2001.
Wow.
So what I had to do is convince my mother that the Marine Corps was a good place for her son to go to, because I was 18 years old. And also, the recruiter did a good job convincing her that the world was a safe place and that there were no wars going on. All of which were true on August 17th of 2001. A couple of weeks later, the whole thing changed, man.
So you were in boot camp at that point, yes?
I was, I didn't go to boot camp per se until January, but yeah, I was in boot camp right when all the things happened. So the whole world changed on 9/11.
So so let's be clear. You joined up in August. You went to boot camp in January of 2002. Is that accurate?
100%. Yep.
So I've got to ask, because people are going to know, did that fire you up more to continue your journey that you had already made the decision on, or did it make you even more nervous, I should say, particularly your mom, of course, but you personally?
That's a really good question. I don't think I felt either way. I think when it happened, I knew that what I expected out of the Marine Corps and that decision was just going to be a completely different expectation.
Got it.
Because I joined the reserves on a reserve contract. And so my military experience is super different than most folks, in which I basically went to boot camp, did 2 years of college, went to Iraq, did 2 years of college, went to Iraq. This was the flow of my 20s, not a typical experience for most people. I just had to kind of live two lives at the same time. Got
it. And you retired from the Marines as a sergeant, I think?
Ooh, I wish. I should have.
No?
That would have been really smart. I probably would have had a lot less heartache and grief. No, I am still in, man. I actually retire this summer. I dropped paperwork last fall. And I'm going to be retiring officially from the United States Marine Corps after 22 years of service as a master sergeant in the Marine Corps.
As a master sergeant, excuse me. Absolutely. Okay. I could have sworn you had told me sergeant master sergeant, but I actually thought you were retired. So even more power. That's fantastic.
I was cooler as a sergeant. It's cool.
There you go.
In the military, like, you're good when you're young. When you get older, you're one of the bad guys. So I was more proud of my service as a sergeant than I am as a master sergeant. Put it that way. Fair
enough. Your words, not mine. I'm proud of you either way. All right, let's turn the table here. Jim, real quick, and you don't have to rush. I want to hear your story, man. You started in the Marines back when the Marine Corps started, right? Maybe?
Yeah.
No? Yes, kind of,
Yeah,
sort of. Talk to me, man.
Funny story. So my grandfather was a World War II vet. Didn't know it until he found out, because I told my grandmother I wanted to go in the Marine Corps when I was 16. He drove all the way from the Chicagoland area. They lived in Elgin, Illinois. I came home from a baseball game one day in high school as a junior, and I saw my grandfather's car, and I'm like, oh, grandma and grandpa are here. This is great. And get in there. My grandmother's not there. My grandfather just stood up and said, hey, boy, we're gonna take a trip. This is a Thursday afternoon. I'll never forget it. And I was like, yeah, okay. Like, everything all right? He said, yeah, you're not going to school tomorrow. And I said, oh, okay. As I looked at my mom, and I could see tears kind of in her eye, and I was like, what is going on? And my dad was like, you're going to go with your grandfather and we were really tight. My grandfather and I love the guy. He's the best guy in the world. Smiled all the time. Great guy, great human being. And he drove me I lived in Harrisburg area, Pennsylvania time. He drove me 2.5 hours north to a place called Delta, Pennsylvania, which has a massive rock quarry in the middle of it. And he pulls up to the fence, and it says, do not enter. And he literally just says, go in the trunk and get that box out, and I'll give you a chance to ask me anything one time. We only talk about it today. I still don't know what's going on. Even up there, it was kind of hit or miss. And we sat on the back of his old Oldsmobile, I'll never forget. And he opens up this foot locker, and it's all his stuff from the Island Wars. He fought through Tarawa, Iwo Jima. He was shot 6 times. He was an absolute stud. And he kept fighting. And he did 3 deployments through the Island Wars. He was at Pearl Harbor the day it was bombed, actually.
Holy crap.
He was actually doing laundry in town. He was stationed right there. And yeah, I never knew any of this, man. I had no idea. My whole life, I didn't know. I said I wanted to be a Marine, and he has this talk with me. And here's a guy, smiled all the time. Every time he saw him, he's just a happy, jovial guy, big dude. And then he had tears run down his face for about 9 hours straight while we talked and on the ride home. And it was really tough for him, but it's something I'll never forget. And he told me what being a Marine really meant, and it just stuck with me even more. I was 17 at the time when I graduated high school, so I still had to have my parents sign on the dotted line, and they would only do it if I joined the reserves. So my initial contract was in the reserves. And then the following year I went to infantry school, called my dad up and said, hey, I'm not good at football or baseball enough to stay at Temple and in Philadelphia. And they don't really want me anyway, so I'm going to do this. And he pretty much hung up on me there, then and there, and said, good luck to you. And that was it. And off I went. And then fast forward 6.5 years later, I have an accident. I fall. I get hurt, and they tell me I'm no longer a field grade Marine, so can't be deployed any further. And that was my time. And I had 7 surgeries on my leg and 5 on my back. And then that was it. And then I got into the world of insurance.
Well, it's a natural fit for both.
Yeah, I mean, it just hand in glove, right?
I think part of the Marine contract, isn't it, that you have to get your health and life license? Is that not what they teach you?
Absolutely.
No,
It's
I mean,
boot camp. It's like the 3rd week of boot camp.
yeah, no, I figured. So let me ask you this: you both have a great story. Both a Marine. Come on, we got to talk about how do you get an insurance? Like, there's got to be, I don't want to spend an hour on it, but there's got to be a story there. And I didn't even realize, quite frankly, all 3 of us are recovering carrier reps. I didn't realize you both started in the carrier world. I mean, it happens a lot, but I didn't realize for you both. I believe, Jim, you at UHC, United Healthcare, and Pat, you at Transamerica. Jim, I'll stick with you since we just finished that topic. How do you even do that? Was it just you were looking for a job? Did you wake 100%. Up one day and said, hey, I want to sell insurance, and that was it? Like, what's going on?
No, I was getting back on my feet. And back then the war was really kicking up, and, I was getting, trying to find my place in the world after the Marine Corps. And a buddy of mine worked at a brokerage in Baltimore, Maryland. And he called up and said, hey, man, this guy from United Healthcare just left our office and said he's looking for staff, somebody that knows math. Are you interested in actuary sciences? I had no idea. I had no clue what actuary sciences were. I called up the number he gave me. They gave me a test, and I got a call the next day. Wow. And then I'm up in Minnetonka, Minnesota, getting training and understanding what test I have to take and all this. And it's like, look, man, this is not for me. I'm not an actuary. I can't do this. And then this guy here in the Metro DC area, the really well-known insurance executive, said, hey, sales is it. This is the job we're looking for. It's small group market. We don't have a presence. We never had a presence in small group. This is before they bought MAMSI even. And I'm sure you remember MAMSI.
Sure. Oh, I do.
Yeah, this is before that. And he's like, go out and get brokers to sell United Healthcare. Here's what we do. And back then it was just a volume game, right? How many brokers can you touch and how many quotes can you get in? And that was my job at United Healthcare. And then I fast forward, saw my brokers making money and said, oh, I'm going to go do that. That seems easy. The rest is history.
Plug the Staples easy button right there. Staples
100%. I thought it was.
They want to call
it was. They made it look that way. I mean, they had the nice cars and the nice suits and everything. They made it look that easy.
Fair enough. What about you, Mr. Pat? Right? You just dreamt of Transamerica Tower in San Francisco. You couldn't wait. Like, what's up? That you got to have a similar story. It had to have been an accident.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, the Transamerica is completely different. So I was on the retirement side. Like, I went to college for a finance degree. I thought I was gonna, teach people about stock, bonds, and mutual funds. That was kind of that was what Pat Moore thought he was going to do. But I came back from a deployment to Iraq. It happened to come home literally October of 2008. and the entire world was obliterated, right? Like no one was hiring for anything. The only person in the whole world that was hiring was Hewitt Associates, and they were hiring for open enrollment support.
Like Aon Hewitt? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, but this was
Or
Hewitt
what's
Associates
now known as?
Before it was Aon Hewitt, before it was Alight Solutions, before all that stuff. And so that was my foray into benefits, was doing literally call center support.
Wow.
And then I went into an MBA program because that was really terrible, absolutely terrible, and got hired straight from the MBA into their large market consulting arm, and ended up being like a junior consultant on those teams. And that's really where I learned what this whole group benefit thing was. But I touched the financial side, and I touched the open enrollment stuff before that.
Got it. So guys, let's talk about, I want to get deep into what you guys are doing now, right? And I know enough to be dangerous when it comes to Axim, but we're going to save that. That's the best for last, right? Don't fast forward if you're listening, but I want to talk about TrueCare, because I must be living under a rock, because I see you guys active on social media. I see you guys talking all the time, and I love it. I absorb your content. If you're not already following these two rock stars, do yourself a favor, change that right away, follow them, or even better, if they're open to it, connect with them directly. What's TrueCare? I have no clue what it is. Shame on me as the worst podcast host in the history of the world, because I should know and I don't, but at least I'm not afraid to admit it. Who wants to take that?
I'll take it. So as you know, we run in a cohort of really smart people in the industry. They want to do the right thing for the client, fully transparent, open the system up, kind of get away from fully insured, if at all possible, understand data. So that's where we went. And as you know, we only work in the government contractor space. And what really is the problem that at large for the benefits industry is lack of transparency and open source data to help people make the best financial decisions. Well, and then get the best outcomes. That's especially true in GovCon, because there's so many other layers to an underwriting process, the way that they get reviewed by underwriters just by job codes, how many times they flip contracts or populations come in and out. So what I wanted to do was create a platform where we could provide underwriting, provide access to multiple carriers for access, include DPC, include a fully transparent open source PBM, and then harness the data of utilization from the underwriting all the way out through daily utilization and provide it back to those employers, as well as manage to their contract strength. So this is a big thing, because most people won't self-fund or level self-fund a government contractor because they just don't know about the churn. Well, we know it. We have all the data, we know it, and we can now provide the best solutions for these small to mid-size contractors, and then give the brokers that are trying to do the right thing the option to do the right thing.
So you're basically making the once or still known as non-predictable predictable. Is that how to kind of sum it up?
Yeah. So we started our own AI machine. It's called LogicMind. When it comes to government contracting now, we own the data. I mean, the large consulting houses are calling us, asking us for the data in this space. So when you look at the who's, the what's, the where's, where the jobs are done, and really where the demographics and the geography need to be, especially because GovCon's in all 50 states and their own territories, you can really make the best decisions for the client and as it pertains to their individual contracts, not just saying this is a 12-month deal. You're actually now basing the risk for that contract over the term, and then helping the people get the best results for the dollars they have available.
So this, I think you started in early 21. It's relatively still new. Where did that come? I know it came from Axim and what you're doing on that side, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But is this something that just hit you one day that you needed to make an actual business, or you just found a void in the market, or a little bit of both?
A little bit of both. I tried to do it in 2015 with a previous entity called Be Well. It was way ahead of the curve. Couldn't get there. Company folded, just didn't work. I was too far ahead of the scale. But I saw it back then, because our government contracting clients are coming from fully insured, and they're 20-25% over market from what we're able to underwrite at. And then you add in the daily lifestyle balance and things that we can actually track now and attribute better outcome and cost and quality. it's a shame that the community hasn't been better treated year over year. So, 2021 was just the right year coming out of COVID, seeing how much money was in the market, and GovCon was pretty stable, believe it or not. So now it's kind of, okay, how do you go out and increase that stability from a financial standpoint?
So, Pat, I know that's I know that summary was a lot. Now I get it. It makes total sense to me. The data is everything. Would you add anything to what your fearless leader here said?
I mean, he killed it there. What I would just say, it's just in the government contracting world, like it's even more opaque than the rest of the industry. Like
the rest of the industry is pretty opaque.
Pretty opaque. It's worse.
Right.
It can get worse. We'll put it that way.
But wait, so there's more.
Yeah, that's right. 100%.
Add more, right? You get, never mind, forget it.
You killed it. Yeah, I'm with you.
Dad joke.
Dad joke. So it's more opaque, and it's what we do to provide that other solution in this market, because no one else is doing it. So if I like to compare, like some people will love and hate this all at the same time, but it's really the health Rosetta, the new way of looking at health insurance option in GovCon. It's literally the only option they have.
So Pat, let's stay on you for a moment. Jim, we'll give you a quick break. Tap out. Don't hang up though. Pat, you went from the Marine Corps. Well, you're still in the Marines, but you went from the Marines over to Transamerica. You did a bunch of stuff. You worked with Aon Hewitt, yada yada yada, and then you decided in really the middle of the pandemic to start your own business. Who the hell does that? That's number one. And then number two, you met this guy. I don't know if you'd already known him or not, but you met this guy and you guys decided to join forces. So I guess two questions. One, what gave you the, I'm going to say it, hang up if you want. I don't care. This is uncensored. This isn't that bad. But where'd you get the balls to start a business in the middle of a pandemic when most people are struggling to save face? You decide to leave your company and go to do it on your own, and then segue that into your story with Jim, because that's where it gets really exciting and fun.
Yeah, I mean, you just said a lot of things right there, Eric. Principles, man, like the way this whole industry is done, you can't really do it inside of a big organization. You can't. Like a lot of people are trying to do the right thing at the USIs and the locked-ins, but at the end of the day, they don't control the way they're paid, and so they can't possibly do the right thing.
Sure.
I felt that. I saw that, and I almost was getting out of the industry, but our good friend David Contorno happened to be featured in an article in Benefits Pro. He was featured in an article in Benefits Pro, and that article was talking about like a group that they took over for, and that group that they took over for was my old company at the time. So
wow.
It was my boss. They were talking shit about my boss, and it was David Contorno. David Contorno was the hero. My boss was the enemy, right? In this Marshall Allen Benefits Pro deal. And so that was like my foray into maybe looking at things a little different, is what I would tell you. And so
boy, there is so much we could unpack there, but
it was a lot, man. It was a lot
right there.
We'll leave. I'm no Joe Rogan or Howard Stern. I don't claim to be, so we'll have to leave it right there. All right. So you started More Benefit Resources, and you're running and gunning. You're having fun. You're doing well by your clients. You're making money, and then you meet this guy. Talk to me about this.
Yeah, and it's the power of social media, man. I didn't know Jim at all, but obviously you get a couple jarheads in the same industry that they don't normally involve themselves in, and people are like, hey, you know this guy? I'm like, no. Same thing happened to him. At one point we found a way to just chat, figure out each other's lives a little bit. Obviously liked each other and thought like what he was doing was cool. And I just told him straight up, like, I've never even heard of this government contracting thing before. Right. He's like, yeah, I get that.
You've never heard that before.
Like, I get that from time to time. I'm like, yeah, and I try to get him to tell me some stuff. He's like, don't worry about it, man. Okay, cool. All right. We actually met up at the U-Powered Symposium
in Arizona.
That was the first time I met Jim in person, was there. And at that point, the things he was doing was like identical to the things that I was doing, the people that we knew, the way we thought about this industry in general. And Jim had a vision that took the consulting that I was doing and turned it into a product. And so instead of just having ideas, he had things, and he had the desire and the execution to make those things happen. And I was attracted to that, and I knew he was a good partner to put in the back pocket. So made the decision to join Axim, and the rest is history.
I love it. I love it. Synergy, right? And yeah, again, I can't tell you, and you've seen it too, guys. I can't tell you how many stories of folks I've had on the show and I've just met in general where it's the power of social media. Like, you know, you see so many people eventually on social media that you feel like you're friends with them. You feel like you know them. You talk to them often. And a lot of times, I don't know about you, but I conduct commerce with people I've never even met in person. And when you meet in person, you're like, oh, you do really exist. You are a human being. So you know, I don't know. Some people rag on social media. I love it. A lot of people know that about me. Jim, talk to me about Axim, right? So you, how'd this thing get started? You started your own company. You talked about Be Well for half a second. It didn't work long-term the way you envisioned, but you went from being the director of group benefits at one company to jumping feet first into starting your own. Walk us through that journey.
Yeah, sure, man. So, you know, being here in the Metro DC area, as you know, everybody touches GovCon. Right. So when I was with the brokerage and I went and became a benefits broker running around the Beltway, everybody we worked with was a GovCon. And then 2008, 2009 hit, and my business was staying stable. The people around us were kind of getting clobbered. And I went to the guy I worked with at the time and said, hey, this is how things are running. He said, this benefits world is nutty. I'm not digging it. I'll give you a chance to buy your business out. The market's going to hell in a handcart. And he gave me the opportunity of a lifetime. I took it and bought my business and started running with it in 2009. Prior to that, I had enrolled in a program called the Veterans Institute of Procurement here in Montgomery County. And essentially they teach you how to become a government contractor if you're kind of transitioning out of the military. And my whole intent was never to have a direct to government contract. It was to take my knowledge and benefits and what I had been building and be able to sit on the side of the fence as a government contractor. Where do you make money? Where do you lose money? Where are the benefits at? And how are they affecting your rates, your rate table? And it was really around the thing that is now LogicMind, right? I created back then a massive Excel sheet. This is before VLOOKUPs and all the other stuff I had to teach myself. And, you know, you had just thousands and thousands of rows and columns. And then I was really getting down to by age group, by utilization type, by contract type, all this stuff in Excel. And my clients were getting 0 increases, 2% increases when everybody else was giving them 15s and 20s. So I said, hey, there's something here, and kicked that off in 2009, and then started Axim Fringe on the compliance side in 2011. The whole idea was, how do we get it better, faster, smarter? We have our own technology that can link with anybody and be open source, and then deliver, right? And like find the arbitrage and cost containment. And I think to date, we've done that now. Now that we've got the platform running, everything's built under one system, but we can connect with 270 carriers across the country, any payroll company, any ERP, any enrollment and eligibility system. We're now able to take all those years of hard work and just deliver. So it's been a labor for sure, but it's something that it's been a wild ride, man. I've had more downs than ups, but it's we're still here.
Well, so I'm just curious. I'm not looking for personal specific detail, but was this just a ton of sweat equity on your part and your own personal capital, or did you go out and raise money? Like, how'd you get this thing moving?
No, man, I joke around, but it's a true statement, man. I've put myself in the poorhouse more times than you've got it, you lose it, you got it, you lose it, more times than I care to admit. But yeah, it's all me. It's financed in-house. And, now because of our size and we have to go bigger and we're looking at some acquisitions, of course you have to go out and get money. And of course you have to protect the enterprise. But up until this point in time, no, it's just been hooking and jabbing.
I love it. I mean, that's just entrepreneurship 101 right there, man. You crash course. You taught it yourself. I mean, you happen to be in the benefits world focused on GovCon, but you could have been a plumber. You could have been an attorney starting your own firm. At the end of the day, an entrepreneur is an entrepreneur. You started from scratch and you built it, and now you're looking to scale. And yeah, I mean, that's great. And I met you. You may not remember, but I remember. I'll ask you. Do you remember when we met?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was 2016 or 17.
16.
Yeah, 16. Yeah, I do. And you had a partner at the time. I think I spoke with him actually before I spoke with you, and then he introduced us.
Yeah, it was 2016 at the Ascend conference of Nelson Griswold. We were in Nashville, and if you remember, it was the most snow they ever got in Nashville.
That's right.
I don't know about you, but I couldn't get back to Baltimore. I was snowed in for an extra day. I remember sitting down for lunch with you. We knew some of the we had some common people we knew in person that we could talk trash about. We'll leave their names out, but you know what I mean. And but no, I
want to know the names. Damn it!
No, not now. But
come on.
But the fact is, I totally understood what you were talking about. Oh, that's a lie. That's not true. I totally understood by concept what you talked about, but I didn't digest what you were talking about. And in my case, you were already out there doing it. I had just left. I was a recovering carrier rep a year and a half out. Not even actually. So I was still trying to get my grounds and get moving. So to see where, I guess you were halfway from then to now, it's just great, man. And I applaud you and I'm proud of you. Not that that matters much to you, but I've seen the trajectory that you've had. Now let's do this. And I'm going to get back to you in a minute, Pat, but Jim, tell me, I'm a brand new advisor, broker, consultant, not in general, but to you. You've just met me. Somebody listening to the show today, what do they need to know? What's like a crash course, couple minute version, few minutes, whatever you want, talking about what they should know and why they should reach out and why they should be focused like a laser? Because a lot of these brokers, and this is nothing you don't know, anybody listening knows this, a lot of them go after groups that are affiliated with the federal government in various states, let alone the metro area. So what are they missing out on, and what are they not properly guiding their clients on, and so forth and so on?
That's a great question. I appreciate you asking that, because it's personal heartache for me. The one thing that I always tell brokers that are just new, or they find out, stop using Google, right? Like if you hear or you read what the legacy is, you're only going to go that way. And if you're a broker that's only involved or interested in commissions, you're going to go that way. And I'm not saying the legacy companies in this space are bad. What I'm saying is they haven't evolved to the strategy or the capabilities of what's available today. So again, everybody has their place in business. The legacy companies that have been doing this government contracting, especially the compliance business, been around for 40 years. They've got some good stuff and they're smart people, right? But on the other hand, being nimble, being agile, being able to build for what's now is not their forte. And it's a lot of product with a lot of commissions in it. So if you want to do the right thing for your client, the best thing you can do is dovetail into the industry. Like, go out and find the people on LinkedIn. You're going to come across lawyers, you're going to come across CPAs, you're going to come across finance folks that only work in GovCon. They're going to tell you the real answers. You don't want to listen to me? That's fine. We give a lot of content away for free all the time, just on LinkedIn, just because I'm sick of the misnomers that we come across. Because every time we come across a client, the first thing we find, massive amounts of money being wasted. First thing. Second thing we find is massive pitfalls in compliance or some regulatory things that they need to pay attention to. They're kind of arms up. Hey man, that's the client's problem. I don't know what it's about. Either way, you just hurt your client twice. And that means you also hurt the employees that have to pay for the benefits that are in place.
Sure.
Right. So like we tell people all the time, just now LinkedIn is such a huge resource, but there's so many people putting out great content, whether they're lawyers, CPAs, they're GovCon specific. If it doesn't say GovCon in their title, you're looking at the wrong people. You should look for people that say GovCon specialist or whatever, and they're going to give you the best information possible. That's first start. Second start is go to our page. It costs you nothing. I give away, Pat jokes with me all the time, stop telling people our secrets, right? And I say, the only way that we can help people is by giving away the secrets now, because so they don't make the mistakes in the future. I don't want to compete against everybody. What I want to do is have the really good folks in the industry learn and do it the right way. And we're partners down the road because the client benefits. That's, and then the bad actors and, some of the people that you talked about that can't control how they treat a client or all those things. Yeah, I want to see them go away. And because of the transparency laws and some of the things that have come down the pipe, a lot of them will go away because the clients are going to start to see that, oh my gosh, we're paying you how much for doing what? Placing a product, and we still have to go pay that TPA or those vendors over there. So you're going to see a lot of transition, I think, in the industry here in the next 2, 3, 4 years.
So I'm an advisor, I'm a broker. I'm gonna ask you the same question, Pat, but I want to hear your spin. I'm going to put you on the spot. It's not like you're in front of your boss, your mentor here. So shine bright like the diamond you are. A little Super Bowl plug there. That's kind of silly. Another dad joke. That's all right. Pat, what do you say, man? Same question. What do you say?
He said a lot of things, Eric. Which way do you want me to go here?
I just want to know. I just met you at a conference, right? We're going to talk about it. I come to your mAXIMize 2023 conference. Maxim, get it? Right? I don't know anything, but I want to learn. You pull me aside at the networking hour, the cocktail hour. And it's networking, dude. You only got 3 minutes with me before I get bored or you get bored or somebody pulls us away, offers us another drink, right? What can you tell me in a 2 or 3 minute time frame that's going to get me fired up to learn more and do right by GovCon?
Yeah, so this is kind of where my heart is for is that independent advisor that doesn't understand this space. Those are the people that I think they really need to, because the whole market needs good advice, needs good advisors. And the opportunity is there. It's the idea of sticking with the niche. Like some people only work with school districts. Some people only work with restaurants. Some people, they pick their niche so that they have a competitive advantage. We give brokers the competitive advantage in a very large niche. So there's, $80 billion in premium in this niche. And if we're working with them, we have more data, more information, more insight to how to help that client than anywhere else. This is the only place where 1,000 Life Group is in our sweet spot. Whereas as an independent broker, man, you are clawing and scratching to try to get that type of group. So that's really the pitch. Like when I find an independent broker that's struggling, or maybe has only written 3 or 4 groups over the past couple of years and has, grown their book from 300 to 400 grand and really wants to grow, hates doing every aspect of the business. Really from a partnership perspective, that's where Axim comes in. We can really help them grow their book and help that client do the right thing.
Guys, what's your avatar client? Would it be what's your avatar GovCon client or avatar broker partner client that brings you business and you work together and partner on deals? It's kind of a loaded question, but if you had to choose, not names, but like what would the build or makeup be of those types of an avatar? Either of you can answer.
I think inquisitive, creative, sick of the status quo, not understanding that they don't understand what they're looking at, right?
Well, admitting taking ownership of not knowing.
That's right. Yep, being accountable, and then it's somebody that just truthfully wants to do the right things because they know on the other side that's the commission they're getting paid or their fee they're getting paid is earned, right?
Okay.
It's not a sales job.
Sure.
And I'd say that's the best broker partner that we have. And I got to tell you, we've got them all over the country. It doesn't matter what state, it doesn't matter if they were the big house or not. We've got really great people from all over. They just call and say, hey guys, I don't know what I'm doing. Great. We're here to help. Like that's fine. That we don't own the client. We don't push you out. Here's our platform. Here's how you can use the resources in the platform. Go forth and conquer. And we're here to back you up. And as far as a client, I hate to admit it, but half the time, no, more than half the time, they come to us after they've already gotten in trouble.
Yeah.
Right. Like they've outkicked their punt coverage in front as far as cost and they're upside down on the wheel as far as what they have available to spend versus the benefit cost, or they've already got a compliance issue, they've paid fees, fines, and penalties, and they're saying, hey, we got another issue, and our
Sure.
broker doesn't know the answer, and the carriers that we're with just said, sorry. So unfortunately, that's the truest avatar, is the people that have already gotten in trouble. But everybody wants to do the right thing. Everybody wants to do the right thing.
Is there a size brokerage or account, I should say, client wise? Like, you know, I'm ignorant. I'm first to admit it. I can own it, right? Is there really such thing as a 5-employee government contractor employer group? You know, I know they're larger, but there you go. So does it matter to you per se? I mean, you want to help everybody, yes?
The door's open. I tell people, you know, going back to mAXIMize, I even said, you know, not a shameless plug here, I've said to the world, if you're a government contractor in the small, meaning just you, all the way to mid-size, which is considered anything 500 employees,
Wow.
you have a free ticket to come to mAXIMize. I will pay for you to attend and learn all the stuff that we're giving. I've made it public, right? The funny thing about that whole thing is, I told the brokers, bring a prospect or a client that you think could benefit from mAXIMize, and I will give them a free ticket. You know how many brokers we had take us up on that offer?
I'd say hardly any.
12.
Yeah.
12. And I'm like, but why? Because I know, just in this country, in the small to mid-sized market, there's 27,600 associated government contractors that have business on the books right now and are getting funds from an agency. That's the small to mid-sized market. Why are not more brokers saying, dude, we got somebody that you need to talk to?
Yeah.
Right. So, and then you get a huge outpouring directly from contractors. Hey, is my broker attending this? And I have to be the bad guy and say, I don't know who your broker is, but no, we don't see them. Like, do you want us to reach out? And they're like, no, just checking. You know, now I think I got somebody in trouble, and that's not the way it should be. We're an open book. We just want to help out.
Well, look, I've been in this position before back in my old days, and I see brokers in this position all the time. The worst position you could ever be in is when the client, the employer, brings the broker the idea that they learned elsewhere from another broker, from an industry trade publication, from a podcast, webinar, whatever it is. Because then as the advisor, broker of record, you're backpedaling and doing one of these, well, we could do that. And really, you don't even know what they're talking about. So that is one of my pet peeves I always talk about with my advisor client partners and brokers all the time is the more info and the more innovative resources you can bring to the table, the better. The worst that happens is your employer group client or prospect says no, but at least a month or two or a year later, if somebody tries to share that info, they have already been made aware of it.
That's right.
So that's something big for me. Let's start to wrap up, but I want to talk about the mAXIMize conference. For those that don't know, Jim and the Axim group of companies and Pat and their whole team, they're putting on mAXIMize 2023. It's their inaugural conference. Their subtitle is The Competitive Edge, focused around GovCon innovation. It's in San Antonio, Texas, being held at the La Cantera Resort. And it's April 3rd through April 5th, 2023. So this is an evergreen podcast. So if you're listening to this post April of 23, stay tuned. I'm wishing these guys good things. Hopefully there'll be a 2024 and beyond that you can check out, which will, everything they're about to tell you about it will apply then as well. But before I let you wrap up the show and talk about the conference, or excuse me, the unconference, and I love that. I just want to read, I'm literally on your website. Everybody check out maximize.aximfsg.com. Don't worry, that'll be in the show notes. We'll plug it. But you got some total badass rock star speakers. My God, I had the privilege of hearing Jim Craig from the 1980 Olympic gold medal U.S. Hockey team, the goaltender. I met him, got a picture with him, got his autograph, and heard him speak at another benefit industry conference many years ago. It is blow your mind, knock your socks off. So if you, even if you just went to hear a legend, you're going to be in a good position. Of course, Jim's going to speak. Pat, I suspect, will speak. And I can't name them all, but I'm just going to name some of the folks I'm really close with that I know well. You got the dude of all dudes, Andy Neary, delivering a track session for brokers. Andy, if you don't know, everybody knows Andy. He's the founder and president of Complete Game Consultant. Just some, I mean, my God, the list is ridiculous. Check out this website. You got Dave Chase, co-founder and CEO of Health Rosetta. By the way, both Andy and Dave are Rockstars Rocking podcast alum. Kristen Dickerson, dude, she is absolutely incredible. She's the best, her and her team over at Green Imaging. David Reed was also on the podcast, co-founder and CEO of Ease. I love Ease. It's one of our top systems of record. Sean Shantz is Dave Chase's partner. You got this guy named Pat Moore. Michael Uziak, my God, that guy, he and I go back to our carrier days. Alexa Baggio, what they're doing over at Perks is out of their mind, just amazing. And John Howard, I remember John Howard. He's just a rock star over at 5-Star in the Virginia, DC area. Anyway, I plugged it. Hope that worked. And I'm not paid for that, and it's totally cool. Anybody listening or thinking that, I promise I'm not. But talk to me, man. Tell me why I'm a broker advisor. We got time. This show is going to air in time for folks to listen and then go to your conference. Give me a few minutes before we wrap up on why we should go.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I mean, look, it's so much more than benefits. When you talk about GovCon, like I said earlier, you go on LinkedIn, you look at somebody with the title GovCon expert or GovCon resource. You're talking about lawyers. You're talking about DOL ERISA attorneys. You're talking about finance companies that only work in financing GovCons because they have a very specific niche. CPAs. We've got a couple people coming. Dutch Rojas. I
love Dutch.
He has nothing to do with GovCon, but his business plan is so malleable and right for everything that we're doing through TrueCare. But then you dovetail that the other way. Administrators, you have brokers, you have CFOs and CEOs from GovCons talking about their experience. What are they looking for in suppliers? HR folks saying, hey, this ERP, this payroll company, this type of technology, this type of benefit level, this is what got us from A to B to C, and now we're exiting at F, right? So we're bringing the resources to help government contractors, their advisors, and their partners. So that's why we have a broker, a GovCon, and a supplier track to give everybody the right information. And it's completely agnostic of Axim. This was, if you want to be an advisor or supplier in this space, please come. This is 17 years of my connections and hard work, and all the great work the Axim team does. We're throwing it at you, and we want you to participate.
Pat, what do you say, man?
Yeah, most importantly, man, if you're a broker, you should go because you get to bring a client for free. And if you bring a client or prospect to this event, they will absolutely continue to be a client, or they will now be a new client. That's the biggest reason, man. The opportunity to learn this industry, to learn how people talk. And so I hope to see a lot of people that don't have experience in the government contracting world, because you get to hear the language. And until you know the language, you can't really speak to those clients. And so this gives you the opportunity to have a crash course on all things government contracting and just learn about a niche that you can actually dominate in.
I like it. Well, guys, I want to finish up by asking you, I'm gonna put you on the spot, right? What's anything personal or business wise that both of you can tell everybody listening that you wouldn't know by checking out your website or checking out your LinkedIn profile? If I don't know you, or even if I do know you, what's something you don't know? Like, I don't know, maybe Jim, you like to tap dance and play piano, which is totally cool. I'm not judging at all. It'd be great. If that's the case, that's awesome. But seriously speaking, what's something we should know that we don't know?
I actually smile. Like, people all the time, like, you always look pissed off. No, I actually smile. I'm a pretty funny guy. I like to have a good time. But no, actually, I think one thing is that I'm a pretty intense guy in general, but we have a good time, and I think, again, going back to the conference, just as part of that, you're going to see kind of our personality a little bit as a company. So we want to get out there more and show the personality, because we have really awesome people that just killer teammates, and they really do above and beyond for the brokers and the GovCon and the community. But it's all built on personality and really, giving a shit. So I'm excited about that. People actually get to see more of different side of Jim Campbell, different side of Axim.
You let your hair down a little bit, loosen up.
Yeah, man, it's crazy long right now. I know it's out of control.
All right, Pat, your turn, man.
I talk about everything. So what you see is what you get, man. But one thing I will tell you is that I'm a diehard Chicago Bulls fan, just like you are a diehard Oriole fan. I'd be more excited about the Cubs, but I think I got my 1 in 100 years. And so I'll hang on to it.
You did.
But I grew up a 90s kid in the Chicagoland area. So you can't help but be a Michael Jordan fan.
Of course.
And, if you want to talk to me about basketball, I'll do it all day long, man.
All right. You heard it here first. Gentlemen, boy, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it. For those who are not, like I said, already connected with, or at least following these guys on LinkedIn, please change that immediately. Check out their website. Check out their unconference website. It's been a pleasure, guys. I really appreciate you coming on. And look, I just show up and ask a few dopey questions and let you guys hopefully do most of the talking. But I'm nothing without my team, just like you are. So for everybody behind the scenes at the Rockstars Rocking podcast, I'm Eric Silverman. That, everybody, was, and always will be Jim Campbell, the Patrick Moore, Pat Moore, whichever way you want to call it. He doesn't care. And until next time, we will we'll tell you not to, I don't like have a great week, have a great month. That's stupid. Make it a great week. Make it a great month. We'll see you at the Unconference in San Antonio, April 3rd through the 5th for mAXIMize 2023. Thanks, fellas. Thanks for listening.
Thanks so much for having us, man. Really
Thanks
appreciate
a lot,
it. Thank you.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the Rockstars Rocking podcast. If you haven't done so already, make sure you're subscribed to the show wherever you consume podcasts. And if you feel so inclined, please leave us a review. 5 stars would totally rock. Until next time, Rockstars, keep rocking.